Good evening, everyone. This is part 3 of the Damascus Documents, and I've been anxious to get through this. So we are starting with chapter 9 this evening, and I will stop from time to time to just go over one or two things that I might notice that I want to share with you in this. In these particular chapters. So let's begin. This is the section, chapter 9, that deals with the faithful will confess their sins and be forgiven and blessed. But all that hold fast by these judgments in going out and coming in according to the law, and listen to the voice of the teacher and confess before Yah, saying, We have done wickedly, we and our fathers, because we have walked contrary to the statutes of the covenant, and true is thy judgment against us, and who lift not the hand against his holy statutes, his righteous judgment, and the testimony of his truth, and are chastised by the first judgments with which the children of men were judged, and give ear to the voice of the unique teacher of righteousness, and reject not the statutes of righteousness when they hear them. They shall rejoice and be glad, and their heart shall exult, and they shall make themselves strong against the children of the world. And Yah will pardon them, and they shall see his salvation, for they trust in his holy name. Amen. Hallelujah. That's a wonderful thing to hear. Chapter 10. A man is not to avenge himself or bear a grudge. A man who puts under the ban a man amongst men according to the ordinances of the Gentiles, who is put to death. And as for that which he hath said, Thou shalt not take vengeance, nor bear a grudge against the children of thy people, every man of those who have entered into the covenant, who brings a charge against his neighbor, whom he has not rebuked before witnesses, and yet brings it in his fierce wrath, or recounts it to his elders, in order to bring him into contempt, is taking vengeance and bearing a grudge, but not as written to save that. He taketh vengeance on his adversaries, and he beareth a grudge against his enemies. If he held his peace with regard to him from day to day, but in his fierce wrath spake against him in the manner of death, he hath testified against himself, because he did not give effect to the commandment of Yah, who said to him, Thou shalt surely rebuke thy neighbor, and not bear sin because of him. As regards to the oath touching that which he said, Thou shalt not avenge thee with thine own hand. The man who takes another man swear in the open field, that is not in the presence of the judges, or owing to their commandments, hath avenged himself with his own hand. Now this is the law as to lost property. And as for that is lost, should it not be known who has stolen it from the property of the camp in which the thing has been stolen, its owner shall proclaim it, and the oath of cursing, and whoso hears of it, he knows and declares it not, shall be held guilty. As for any restitution made by him who returns that which is not an owner, he who returns it shall confess to the priest, and that which was lost shall be given back to him, besides the ram and the guilt offering to the priest. And so everything that was lost and found has no owner shall be given to the priests, for he who found it knows not its law. If its owner is not found, they shall take charge of it. Now this is concerning the number of witnesses necessary in a case of capital or other offenses, and the character of witnesses. If a man in any matter trespass against the law and his neighbor, and none but sees it, if it be a matter of death, he shall make it known to the censor in the presence of the accused, in discharging the duty of reproof, and the censor shall write it down with his own hand. If he do it again before another, he shall return and make it known to the censor. If he shall be caught again before another, his judgment shall be executed. And if there are two, and they witness against him, each on a different thing, the man shall be only excluded from the purity, provided that they are untrustworthy, and that on the day on which they have seen the man, they make it known to the censor. And according to the statute, they shall accept 2 trustworthy witnesses, and not 1 to exclude the purity. And there shall arise no witnesses before the judges to cause a man to be put to death at his mouth, whose days have not been fulfilled, so as to pass over unto those that are numbered, and who is not a man who fears Yah. None shall be believed as a witness against his neighbor, who trespasses a word of the commandment with a high hand, until they are clean through repentance. This is section 11. Regulations as to the judges of the Zadokite party. And this is the order in reference to the judges of the congregation. They shall amount to 10 men selected from the congregation according to the time defined, 4 of the tribe of Levi and Aaron, and 6 of Israel, learned in the book of the Haggu and in the ordinances of the covenant, from 25 years old even unto 60 years old. But none shall be appointed when he is 60 years old and upward to judge the congregation. For through the trespass of man his days were ministered, and when the wrath of Yah was kindled against the inhabitants of the earth, he commanded their intelligence to depart from them before they completed their days. Now you can find a second witness to this in our Bible, and also another witness in Jubilees. And I will try and find that later so that I can point that out for you. Here's the Levitical law as to bathing. Section 12. As to being cleansed in water, no man shall wash in water that is filthy, or insufficient for a man's bath. None shall cleanse himself in the waters of a vessel, and every pool in a rock in which there is not sufficient water for a bath not sufficient water for a bath, which an unclean person has touched, its waters shall be unclean, like the waters of the vessel. And these are laws regarding the Sabbath. As to the Sabbath to observe, according to its law, no man shall do work on the 6th day from the time when the sun's orb is in its fullness, still without the gate. For it is he who said, observe the Sabbath to keep it holy. And on the Shabbat day, No man shall utter a word of folly and vanity. No man shall lend aught to his neighbor. None shall dispute on matters of wealth and gain. None shall speak on matters of work and labor to be done on the following morning. No man shall walk in the field to do the work of his business on the Shabbat. None shall walk outside his city more than 1,000 cubits. No man shall eat on the Sabbath day aught save that which is prepared or perishing in the field. None, nor shall one eat and drink unless in the camp. If he was on the way and went down to wash, he may drink where he stands, but he shall not draw unto any vessel. No man shall send the son of a stranger to do business on the Shabbat day. Now, these regulations for Sabbath, you will notice that it says Shabbat day. However, the evening, the afternoon before the Shabbat is the day of preparation for all things. That's the time when we begin to set ourselves apart and we stop working. We prepare all the things that we need for our Sabbath. We bring it in so that it can be cooked or a meal made on the Shabbat. It doesn't say anything about not cooking a meal. It just says that we're not supposed to carry in and out of our gates. And we are not supposed to walk about talking about work, thinking about work, or doing any work. So these are laws and regulations according to the Damascus Document. Now, as to unclean garments, just one or two sentences here. No man shall put on a garment that is filthy, or were brought by a Gentile, unless they were washed in water or rubbed with frankincense. Obviously, cleanliness was a key regulation. Now, this is regarding the Sabbath again. No man shall fast of his own will on the Sabbath. No man shall walk after the animal to pasture it outside the city more than 2,000 cubits. None shall lift his hand to smite it with his fist. If it be stubborn, he shall not remove it out of his house. No man shall carry anything from the house to the outside, or from the outside into the house. This is where our preparation comes in the day before. And if he be in the vestibule, he shall not carry anything out of it or bring anything into it. None shall open the cover of a vessel that is pasted on the Sabbath. No man shall carry on him spices to go out or come in on the Sabbath. None shall lift up in his dwelling house, rock, or earth. Let not the nursing father take the suckling child to go out or to come in on the Sabbath. In other words, we're supposed to relax at home and just enjoy our Sabbath and enjoy our meal. No man shall provoke his manservant or maidservant or his hireling on the Shabbat. No man shall help an animal in its delivery on the Shabbat day, and if it falls into a pit or ditch, he shall not raise it on the Sabbath. Now, folks, I'm not sure of everything that is written in these documents. I do know that Yeshua came to shed light on many of these things, and he taught differently about such things. So we're to study and pray and have wisdom and discernment on such. No man shall rest in a place near to the Gentiles on the Shabbat. No man shall suffer himself to be polluted on the Shabbat for the sake of wealth or gain on the Shabbat, And if any person falls into a place of water, or into a place, he shall not bring him up by a ladder or a cord or instrument. No man shall offer anything on the altar on the Shabbat, save the burnt offering of the Shabbat, for it is written, accepting your Sabbaths. There's a lot in this passage that needs consideration. The Levitical laws as to uncleanliness. No man shall send to the altar burnt offering or meat offering or frankincense or wood through the hand of a man that is unclean, through any of the uncleanliness, allowing him to defile the altar, for it is written, the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination, but the prayer of the righteous is like an offering of delight. And none of those who enter into the house of worship shall enter when he is unclean, even though washed. And when the trumpets of the congregation sound, it shall he done before the altar. I think there's a typo here. And when the trumpets of the congregation shall sound, it shall be done before or after the altar, and they shall not put an end to the whole service. The Shabbat is holy. No man shall lie with a woman in the city of the sanctuary, to defile the city of the sanctuary by their impurity. And the next section is a law against necromancy. Any man who is ruled by spirits of Belial and speaks rebellion shall be judged by the judgment of the necromancer and the wizard. And next section is laws to the Shabbat. More laws. And he whom leads astray into profaning the Shabbat and the feasts shall not be put to death, but it shall be the duty of the sons of man to watch him, and should he be held of it, they shall watch him 7 years, and then he shall come into the congregation. This particular law reflects a lot on situations I have seen in local churches where we have had pedophiles actually amongst our congregations, and they were given a second chance, unfortunately, and they weren't watched carefully enough and had to be put out of the church. So there's a lot of this. Laws to intercourse with Gentiles. None shall stretch out his hand to shed the blood of any man from among the Gentiles for the sake of wealth or gain, nor shall he take aught of their wealth, lest they blaspheme, unless by the counsel of the community of Israel. No man shall sell an animal or bird that is clean to the Gentiles, lest they sacrifice them, nor shall he sell them aught from his threshing floor or his winepress, for all his property, nor shall he sell them his manservant or maidservant who entered with him into the covenant of Abraham. Very interesting. So we need to be in covenant with the Father in order to do these things. If we're a Gentile and an outsider, we should not be doing any of these things. No man shall make himself abominable with any living creature or creeping thing by eating of them, or the defilements of bees, or of any living creature that moveth in the waters, nor shall fish be eaten unless they were split alive, and their blood was shed. So here we're talking about kosher shedding of blood for fish as well as other beasts. But all of the locusts after their kind shall come into the fire or into water, whilst they are still living. For this is the manner of their creation, and all wood and stones and dust which are polluted by the uncleanliness of man are polluted like them. According to their uncleanliness shall he be unclean, he who touches them, and every instrument, nail, or peg in the wall which is with the dead in the house shall be unclean, like the uncleanliness of an instrument of work. The regulation of the dwellers in the cities of Israel, according to these judgments, that a difference may be made between the unclean and the clean, and to make known the difference between the holy and the common. And these statutes are given instruction, so that the whole nation may walk in them according to the laws always. And according to this law shall walk the seed of Israel, and they shall not be cursed. This next section is to the ruler, to be a priest or a Levite. And this is the regulation of dwellers according to which they should act during the period of the wickedness, until arises the Mashiach from Aaron and Israel, up to 10 men at least, to thousands and hundreds and fifties and tens. And when there arise 10, the man who is a priest, learned in the book of the Hegu, shall not depart. According to his word shall they all be ruled. And if he is not expert in all these, but a man of the Levites is expert in these, the lot shall be that all those that enter into the camp shall go out and come in according to his word. Now we have here a law of leprosy. And if there be a judgment regarding the law of leprosy, which is in a man, then the priest shall come and stand in the camp, and the censor shall instruct him in the true meaning of the law. And even if he is lacking the understanding, he shall shut him up, for unto them is the judgment. Now is the duties of the censor. And this is the regulation of the censor of the camp. He shall instruct the many in the words of Yah, and shall make them understand his wondrous mighty acts, and shall narrate before them the things of the world since its creation. And he shall have mercy upon them as the father upon his children, and shall forgive all that have incurred guilt. As a shepherd with his flock, he shall loose all the bonds of their knots, oppressed and cursed, in his congregation. And everyone who joins his congregation, he shall reckon him according to his works, his understanding, his might, his strength, and his wealth. And they shall record him in his place, in accordance with the position in a lot of the camp. No man of the children of the camp shall have power to bring a man into congregation without the word of the censor of the camp, nor shall any man of them who have entered into a covenant of Yah do business with the children of the pit, unless hand to hand. No man shall do a thing as buying and selling, unless he has spoken to the censor of the camp, and he shall do it in the camp, and not little break here. And so to him who casts forth, they, and he who is not connected with. And this is the settlement of the camps, and shall not succeed to settle in the land, that have not come from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah. And as for all who walk in these covenant of Yah, standeth fast unto them, to save them from all the snares of the pit. for suddenly. You'll notice that these sentences are broken up a little bit. That's because they are translated from fragments. And so some of these things are still a bit fragmented. They put, R.H. Charles put it together as well as could possibly be translated. Now we have the 4 orders of the community. And the regulation of the dwellers of all the camps, they shall be numbered by all their names, the priests first, the Levites second, the children of Israel third, and the proselyte fourth. And they shall be recorded by their names, one after another, the priest first, the Levites second, the children of Israel third, and the proselyte fourth. And so shall be seated, and so they shall ask with regard to every matter. And the priest who numbers the many shall be from 30 years old to even unto 60 years old, learned in the book of the Haggai and in all the judgments of the law, to direct them according to their judgments. Now understand, these were handed down from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and are part of the Dead Sea Scrolls, laws given to Enoch and passed down through the fathers. So they knew all the community rules and the orders that were to be followed before the coming of Mashiach. Now, more duties of the censor. And the censor who is over all the camps shall be from 30 years old even unto 50 years old, a master in every council of men and in every tongue, according to his word, shall come in those who enter the congregation, every man in his due order. And as regards any manner on which it shall be incumbent for any man to speak, he shall speak to the censor in regard to any suit or case. This section 18 concerning almsgiving. And this is the regulation for the many in order to provide for all their needs. The wages of 2 days every month is a rule, and they shall give it into the hands of the censor and the judges. From it they shall give, and from it they shall strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy, and to the aged man who, we have a little break here, a fragmented section, to the vagrant and him who was taken captive of the strange people, and to the virgin who has no dot, and to him whom no man careth for, every work, another fragment, and not, another broken fragment. As this is the explanation of the settlement, and another broken fragment, this is the explanation of the judgments, which, another broken fragment, the punishment 6 days, and who shall speak against Moses. And at the end there's another broken fragment. Laws as to oaths, section 19. Shall not swear either by Aleph, Lamed, or by Aleph, Dalet, but by the oath, written in the curses of the covenant. But the law of Moses he shall not mention. For, and if he swears and transgresses, he profanes the name. And if by the curses of the covenant the judges, and if he transgresses, there was another broken fragment there, and if he trespasses, he shall be held guilty. But if he confesses and makes restitution, he shall not bear the penalty of death. And whoever in all Israel shall enter into the covenant by a statute forever, together with their children who are not of an age to pass over into the number of those who are enrolled by the oath of the covenant shall confirm it on their behalf. And this is also the law throughout the entire period of the wickedness for everyone who returns from his corrupt way on the day when he speaks with the censor of the many. They shall enroll him by the oath of the covenant that Moses established with Israel, the covenant to return to the law of Moses with all his heart and with all his soul, as regards that which there is found to be done by them. And no man shall make known to him the laws until he stands before the censor, who shall search out concerning him when he examines him. And when he imposes it upon him to return to the law of Moses with all his heart and soul, fragment, of him, if, another fragmented section, and everything that was received of the law with regard to a suit, another fragment, in him, the censor, another fragment, him, and shall command him, another fragment, until fragmented, kill him, fragmented, and the man, and all fragmented. There's loss of lines in all of this last section, so it's a bit difficult to piece that together. The last sentence is, covenant with you and with the whole of Israel. Therefore the man shall impose it upon himself to return to the law of Moses, for in it everything is accurately treated. Now the last section here is references to the book of Jubilee. And these are key, very key for a second witness for Jubilees actually being part of the inspired word. As for the exact statement of their periods, to put Israel in remembrance in regard to all these, behold, it is treated accurately in the book of the divisions of the seasons according to their jubilees and their weeks. The last section here we have laws as to oaths and vows. And then we will be finished with the chapter 20 of the Damascus Document. And on the day which the man imposes it upon himself to return to the law of Moses, the angel of Mastama, who is Satan, will depart from him, if he make good his word. Therefore Abraham was circumcised on the day of his knowing, as to what he said, that which is gone forth from my lips, thou shalt keep to make it good. No binding oath which a man imposes upon himself with a view to perform a commandment of the law shall he cancel, even at the risk of death. Nothing which a man imposes upon himself with a view to frustrate the law shall he make good, even at the risk of death. As for the oath of a woman, whose oath Moses said should be disallowed, no man shall disallow an oath which no man knew. It is to be confirmed, and whether it be to disallow or transgress the covenant, he shall disallow it and not confirm it. And so it is also the law for her father. As to the law of the offerings, no man shall vow anything for the altar under compulsion, nor shall the priest take anything from the Israelites, nor shall a man dedicate the food And here we have a fragment in this verse. This is possession. We have another fragment. Holy, another fragment. Shall be punished he, another fragment, who takes a vow, another fragment, to the judge. So I'll read that last sentence again. Nor shall devote of all his possession, holy shall be he who takes a vow to the judge. Okay, I just want to wrap this up by stating that this is edited by Diane Morgan for the Wesley Center of Applied Technology at Northwest Nazarene University. Copyrights 2000 by the Wesley Center for Applied Technology. Thank you for listening to the Damascus Documents, and I pray that you will search these things out for yourselves and study them. And if you have enjoyed this section 3, part 3 of the Damascus Documents, please give a little thumbs up, like and share with your friends, and continue to study, that we might find His Word infallible. Although we know from past architecture, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the things that have been discovered, we are finding some things that have been fallible in His Word. So I encourage you to go through these things yourself and find what is truth. Thank you and good night.